everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel Colonati. Today I'm going to be reviewing Cheek by Jowl by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is a collection of her talks and essays from the early 2000s in defense of the fantasy genre, why fantasy matters, and why you maybe shouldn't believe what the critics say about fantasy. And she also explores in the titular essay the reason why fantasy or the fantastical, particularly animals in fiction, appeal to children, and also as kind of this running theme through some of the essays about how fantasy is, as she considers it, the only genre that appeals to all ages, unlike other genres, even though people often say that fantasy is for children, or the critics view it as something for children that you eventually grow out of and that you must eventually aim for realism in what you're reading. She's saying that there's something about fantasy that is for everybody no matter your age. This is very short, it's only about 150 pages long, and that includes some illustrations from various children's books. The main essay, which takes up the majority of the length in the middle, is the essay. It's kind of a lecture, actually, called Cheek by Jowl, Animals in Children's Literature, in which she explores a spectrum of books where the role of animals goes from what she calls jowl, purely animal, to cheek, purely human, which explains the title of the book. That essay also explains the cover art, which some people have made comments to me about the cover of this book and how unusual it is, or they don't understand what it is, and it's a piece of artwork that is explained really well in that particular essay, and that's why I'd say read it if you want to know more about that and you think that the topic of why children love reading about animals when they're little is so interesting, then read this. Two of the other talks in this that I really enjoyed were assumptions about fantasy and the young adult and the YA, and both of them, so in the first one, she's literally talking about three major assumptions of the fantasy genre that she's tired of, and there is one of the big assumptions she doesn't like is the ever-present battle, war, fight between good and evil, and she says, "There are many metaphors besides battle, many choices besides war, and most ways of doing right do not, in fact, involve killing anybody." Fantasy is good at thinking about those other ways. Could we assume for a change that it does so? So, I have to say that these days, I'm much less about the epic fantasy, which seems to so often be about the monomyth and the battle between good and evil, and much more I'm interested in fantasy stories that go beyond that. I mean, I've been thinking about like A Stranger in Alondria by Sofia Samatar, a good example there. It's not about good and evil. I mean, you could say it's about good and evil in somebody's life, but it's kind of more like a ghost story and about books and the written word, and it's still fantasy, so I agree with her so much on that. It's an incredibly short essay, but I was like, yeah, Le Guin is awesome. The other essay that I mentioned, the young adult and the YA, covers kind of her own career writing YA, writing the Earthsea series, and there's more in it than that, but she does mention in there the evolution of her writing the Earthsea series. There is a 17-year gap between the third book in that series, The Farthest Shore, and the fourth book, Tahanu. And during those 17 years, like, second wave feminism happened, and she became a different type of writer. And I like that, knowing more about that before and after period in her life, because people who I think read like The Left Hand of Darkness or the first three Earthsea books are going to be like, why are all the characters male, and why is this still, Le Guin is known for feminist writing, kind of, and yet some of her most famous works lack some of that, and that's an explanation of why, I think. There are a total of 8 essays and talks in this, and I just mentioned 3 of them because they were my favorites. I definitely say that if you're one of those people that like heard or read Le Guin's statement at the last National Book Awards and you were like, yeah, Le Guin is awesome, she's got the guts to say that about the publishing industry, then if you liked that, read this. Read something more by her and her nonfiction and her criticism of the field or something, because she really is that frank and honest and kind of brutal about her opinions in a way. And she brings this amazing career and so many examples that illuminate and support what she wants to say. I'm not sure what else I want to say about this, except that as somebody who reads speculative fiction, who reads science fiction and fantasy, and loves Le Guin, I just found that her opinions were very interesting, and I agreed with her about a lot of things, and I thought that she talked about some things that I had never considered before, so well worth the read if you can get your hands on it. If you would like to chat about Cheek by Jowl or anything else that Le Guin has written, please comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And that is it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you guys again in my next video. Bye.